thrown for 2,500 yards and 23 touchdowns. And he can run as well. In last week's semifinal win over St. Angelo, 150 yards, including an 81-yard option keeper for a touchdown. Dion Marion is the Kangaroos' top running back. He's already rushed for over 1,000 yards, and last week alone gained 125 yards and scored all 3 touchdowns. Defensively, Killeen has grown weekly. Following back-to-back losses early in the year to powerhouses Waco and Temple, the Kangaroos are unbeaten in their last 9 games. The Sugarland Dulles Vikings are in the championship game for the first time in almost 3 decades. Solomon White leads the rushing attack. He's gained close to 1,200 yards this year at a clip of 7 2-point yards per carry. He's joined in the backfield by senior classmate Calvin Phillips. It was Phillips who scored the game winner in last week's win over Converse Judson with only 32 seconds left. John Gillespie calls the shots at quarterback. He doesn't throw a lot. He doesn't have the big arm, but he knows how to win. Defensively, Dulles has held its opponents to 14 points per game this season, en route to a 14 record. Today, live from the Astrodome, it's Killeen versus Dulles. TVG Sports presents the 1991 UIL 5A State Football Championship. It's the Division I battle between the Sugarland Dulles Vikings and the Killeen Kangaroos. And under the dome here in Houston, they have come from about 3 hours away in the maroon and white of the Killeen Kangaroos. And they have come from just a few miles down the road in the red, white, and blue of the Dulles Vikings. And today, under the roof, they will battle to decide the Division I 5A State Championship game. Our pleasure to welcome you to Houston, Dave Barnett, along with Scott Murray of KXAS-TV in Fort Worth. These are 2 teams that will admit to you immediately they didn't expect to be here. Dulles has had the clearer path to the championship at 14-0. Killeen third in their district, but 11-2-1, and both obviously delighted to be here. The 2 head coaches, great friends. They vacation together in the offseason. And there's also a contrast on the field. Offensively, first of all, for the Dulles Vikings, they're a throwback to the 40s and the 50s. Scott, they're a straight T formation, which you almost never see anymore, and the trigger man is the quarterback, John Gillespie.
And David, this is a fellow that really hasn't been that highly recruited this year by some of the colleges, not only in the state of Texas, but throughout the Southwest. But maybe more importantly, this is a kid that has got a team that's 14-0. He's been calling the shots. He's been pulling the trigger, so he must be doing something right. And in the playoffs, he looked especially strong. He has 6 touchdowns, 2 through the air, and 4 rushes. Defensively, though, you've got to keep in mind the man to watch today will be Terrence Ford. However, he will not be at 100%. A couple of weeks ago against Lamar, he had 4 interceptions, leads the team with 6 on the year, but lo and behold, last week broke his thumb. So today, we'll have a cast all the way from the elbow down to his thumb, and apparently we'll have to have about 3/4 of an inch of padding just to be allowed to play today. So that's going to hamper him somewhat.
The contrast for Killeen, they'll look space age compared to Dulles in the straight T. They run the Miami Hurricanes one-back set. Pretty balanced offensively. It all starts with one of the fastest players in Texas high school this year, their quarterback, Billy Spiller.
One of the smallest, but indeed one of the fastest, and he just does simply everything. He is so much fun to watch. Throws the ball, runs the ball, just is an incredible athlete. And, of course, we'll team up with Charles West, one of his top wide receivers who already on the year has 78 receptions. That's right, 78 receptions. And these 2 fellas not only so strong offensively, they will be on the ball defensively and cover the corners. They started cornerback, so they will play the entire game together.
Roaming the sidelines for us today from KSAT TV in San Antonio, Greg Simmons.
Thank you very much, Dave Barnett and Scott Murray. Welcome to the sidelines here. You know, the road to the state championship game has been an unbeaten record so far for Dulles, 14-0, but it hasn't been without a comeback just about every game in the playoffs. As a matter of fact, 3 of their 4 playoff games have featured comebacks. They've been down at halftime in 3 of those 4 games. When you take a look at the record there, 45-7 in the first game, a comeback to a win over MacArthur, 27-26, against Lamar, 26-14, but the big game against Converse Judson, scoring the game-winning touchdown with just 32 seconds left. Head coach Ronnie Bell told us that is the best high school game he's ever been involved in. And prior to today's game, Coach Bell told us what it's going to take to defeat Killeen.
Our plan is to changed coverages up quite a bit with both pass rush and also linebacker drops and formations to try to give them several different looks, knowing the gifted athlete that they have at quarterback and the receivers that they have.
As Coach Ronnie Bell prepares to take on his close friend Bobby Etheridge, we'll be back with a preview of the Killeen Kangaroos here from the Astrodome after this. Welcome back to the Astrodome in Houston, Texas for today's Division I State 5A Championship game featuring the Killeen Kangaroos against Sugarland Dulles. And they are unbeaten, but for the Killeen Kangaroos, they may not have an unbeaten record, ladies and gentlemen, but they still battled their way here with an 11-2-1 finish so far, and hopefully a state championship for the Kangaroos today if they're so lucky. But when you take a look at this record, you can see that their road in the playoffs started out rather on rocky ground with a 14-14 tie, advancing in penetrations against Austin Johnson, returned with a 1-point victory over Houston Jersey Village, a 4-point victory over Tyler Lee, and then scoring the game-winning touchdown in the fourth quarter against San Angelo Central to win that game 21-17. And prior to today's game, we asked head coach Bobby Etheridge how he plans on defeating Dulles.
Well, it's going to take a supreme effort for one because we're playing a great football team. You know, they hadn't lost a time this year. But the main thing we're going to have to do is they've got a great ball control football team. We need to keep their offense off the field if that's possible. We're not going to stop them altogether, but we're going to try to slow them down because our offense needs to have a shot at it. And we can't let them have the ball for the whole game or we'll be in trouble.
Head coach Bobby Etheridge and also head coach Ronnie Bell spend their summers together talking football. Today they're spending their winter afternoon here in the Astrodome in the State 5A Championship. Back up to the booth, Scott Murray and Dave Barnett.
And Greg, as we mentioned, for two teams that have such different offensive philosophies, it's amazing when you consider what they both want to do, what they feel their keys to winning this game are. They're pretty similar, first of all, for the Kangaroos.
Yeah, as the coach just said for Killeen, I think you've got to control the running game of Dulles. This is a team that Solomon White's averaging over 7 yards per carry. Got to put them in the hole and force them to pass on third down. Keep their own offense off the field or on the field, wear down the Dulles defense, and use their incredible speed. We'll talk about that throughout the course of the afternoon. For Dulles, on the other side of the coin, you've got the ball control. Keep Killeen offense off the field. Control the speed again of Killeen, and that'll be a real mainstay today. And contain Spiller. He's quick, he can throw, he can run, he does just about everything, David.
We'll have the kickoff right after this message from our Lula, makers of Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Mug Root Beer, and Slice. By Chevrolet, the heartbeat of America, who invites you to see why more people depend on Chevrolet than any other car. Back in the Astrodome in Houston, Dave Barnett, Scott Murray, and Greg Simmons. The UIL 5A Division I Championship. They'll decide Division II a week from today. But this afternoon, the Roos of Killeen will kick the ball to the Vikings of Dulles. 14-0 for the Vikings this year, and 11-2-1 for the Kangaroos. And in the middle of the receiving formation for Dulles, their fastest player, Darius Wilmington, will see a lot of him today. And we are underway, and a squib didn't catch the Vikings by surprise, but they fumble it at their 48-yard line, and Killeen saying they got it. As we wait for the official indication. So right from the start, the Roos pull a surprise out of their back pocket, but they held, and Bobby Etheridge, apparently with a mindset today to let everything hang out, waiting to see what comes from this discussion. Now, holding you almost never see on an opening kick. Let's see if we can pick it up. Kind of tough to see from this particular replay because everybody thought the ball was going to go downfield. It came back about midfield. You see the fumble. And from this point, it looks as though Killeen has the ball, but we'll wait and see what the officials finally decide. Well, they said holding. It was bounced off Brad McNary and recovered by Luis Rivera. And as Etheridge and Bell wait on the sidelines, they apparently do give the ball to Dulles. Major break. Major break. So we'll see the Vikings under John Gillespie's leadership. 6 foot, 183-pound senior out of the straight C. The fullback Solomon White reached the 43 and then got turned back a couple of yards. And along with Gillespie, this Viking offense, which averaged 357 total yards and 31 points per game. White is the fullback, Wright the left half, and Phillips the right half in the 3T. The tight end is Renfro, who's caught only 2 passes this year, both for touchdowns. And the blockers up front, led by Rosas, the center. Off right tackle to the 40 is Bryant Wright, and it'll be third down at about 4. Wright 5'9" and 150. Also a senior. As we look at the Kangaroo defensive front, they will go 5-2 most of the way. Rivera, Killeen, and Rabara lead that front unit. And Martinez and Roscoe, the linebackers. Spiller and West, as Scott said, play both ways. Watson and Wright are the safeties. Pitch with a whistle prior to the snap. They wanted to try Phillips off left side. We'll see what this indication is. The ruse pointing at the Vikings. So already 2 flags in the first minute and 10 seconds, and it is against Dulles. By the way, today's championship game official, that's the referee Eugene Smith. Today's umpire is Conrad Turner. Our head linesman, David Alexander. The line judge is Vance Burnham, and the back judge is Joe Nickel. So instead of 3rd and 4, 3rd and 9, and this situation is what Killeen wants to force Gillespie into all afternoon. Not known for the passing game. Fires this one out, and it is caught, but short of the first down to Wright circling out of the backfield. He will be about 2 yards shy and bring up 4th down. And everybody in this Viking backfield with superior stats this year. You saw his average nearly 7 yards per carry. He can also catch the ball. Nice stretching grab. And Ronnie Bell, in the same gambling spirit that Bobby Etheridge has already shown, will go for it on 4th and 2. They need the 36, the option pitch to the fullback White. And with the cutback, lots of room. Finally knocked out of bounds at the 22-yard line. And the Vikings on 4th down not only get the first down, but they get set up deep into Kangaroo territory. Elton Watson, the man that prevented a touchdown.
And watch the man that's the number 2 in the white. That's Wilmington, who's usually pretty sure-handed. You saw him slip right by there, and then White was on his way. He's averaging over 7 yards a carry, and he's a big workhorse, close to 1,200 yards already this year.
This is their other workhorse, Phillips, who hopes to go over the 1,000-yard mark today. 910 yards for the year, 5.7 per carry. Rabara, the nose tackle, along with Martinez on the stop, just inside the 20. Ronnie Bell in his 10th year at Dulles. Played at North Texas in the mid-60s, coached at North Texas in several stops along the high school trail before Sugarland. 2nd and 7. And to the 15, setting up 3rd and about 2 is Wright. Once again, Rivera, the nose tackle, on the stop. Wright's numbers for the year. So, Scott, again, Killeen defensively up the 3rd down, which they want to do.
Exactly what they wanted to do. Here's another look at it. Killeen all day had said that they'd like to come in here and hold them on the first couple of downs and force the pass situation on the 3rd down. They've got another 3rd down here at about 3.
First man through. White got nowhere. Turned back from the 15 is the fullback Solomon White. Robert Killeen, the left defensive tackle, by far the largest player we'll see on the field, 292-pounder.
And you take a look at that front 5, including the nose tackle. They average at about 202 pounds. But if you take Killeen out of it, you've suddenly got a situation where they're averaging about 180. So if you're going to go to somebody, don't go to number 70. Boy, he made the big stop.
On fourth down,
Look at the size of him, David.
yeah, immense. On fourth down, for the third time this year, Steve Davison to attempt the field goal, and his 32-yarder is no good. That's his first miss. He was 2 for 2 for the year. And that well within his range, plenty of leg, wide left, and we are still scoreless with 8:03 to play in the first quarter. We'll be right back.
Here's another look at the field goal, and you can just simply see that he pulled it. Never gave it a chance. So we have a scoreless ball game with about 8:03 left, first quarter.
And the Kangaroos, from their 20, receive him offensively for the first time. Billy Spiller, 5'9", 138-pound quarterback, will go right to the air. And this is what the Vikings have to contend with all day. Very slippery. What might have been a sack into a 7-yard pickup. The middle linebacker, Wade Calvert, made the tackle on one of the fastest players anywhere in high school football. Spiller, a senior, joined by Marion, a junior, their top rusher. Reyna, the tight end. West will handle the ball an awful lot today. And up front, Aguilar, Arnold, Davis, Adams, and Reyna also with some tight end time today. Multiple steps for the Kangaroos on offense. This pitch to Marion, who will be about a yard shy of the first down. Calvert again ranging over from the middle for the tackle on a man who is over the 1,060-yard mark this year. Defensive line, McNary, Rivera, Alexander, and Hanley, a sophomore who has started every game. Denley, Calvert, and Hawkinson are the linebackers, and Stevens, Ford playing with the big cast on his right arm, and Alfonso in the secondary. Two wideouts right. One left, and Marion, the lone setback on 3rd and 1, will take it up the middle and thunder for big yardage. Dulles territory at the 48-yard line before Jeff Stevens made the tackle on Dion Marion. Bobby Etheridge simply wouldn't be here without Marion. He scored all 3 touchdowns last week in their victory 21-17 over San Angelo Central.
Watch number 75 and 73. That's Arnold and Davis. They're the ones that open up the hole, and he is gone. A couple of quick moves back to his left and to his right, and Marion with a big pickup across midfield for the Kangaroos.
So a quick look, and the man intended didn't look back for it, Charles West. Obvious mix-up. Spiller blaming himself.
My fault.
And he's lucky he didn't get picked off. Spiller's numbers through the air are outstanding. 60% completions, 23 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. And as a rusher, sacks and all, any quarterback that has a positive yard per carry average is doing something, and Spiller averaging 3 yards per carry, but has scored 7 touchdowns this year. So 2nd and 10. West in motion. And again to the air with plenty of time. Delivers. Caught inbounds for the first down at the 34-yard line to West, who was on the same page this time.
Of course, the 3 names that you've heard most today, West, Spiller, and Marion, all members of that 400-meter relay team that won the state championship this year. So this gives you some idea of how fast these fellas are. West all by himself, keeps the feet in bounds, makes the reception, another first down for Killeen.
Those numbers you saw, by the way, 80 catches, leads all Texas 5A receivers this year. And they'll line them up everywhere they can. They try to cause as much defensive confusion as possible with people trying to keep track of Charles West. Spiller sets up the screen to Marion, and he'll have another first down to the 20 of Dulles. Stevens on the tackle, and Scott right from the opening snap. The Roos showing what they want to be about offensively. Big chunks. They don't think if they drive 12, 14, 16 plays, they'll get it done today. So they want the big gainer.
Well, we talked about the speed at the top, and I think this is what they've got to capitalize on. You go with what brung you here, and that's exactly what they've done. He sets up in the shotgun formation on a first down, and then the screen, and Marion does the rest. Another first down for the Kangaroos of Killeen.
They mark it from the 22, 5:25 and counting to the scoreless first quarter. Marion, a busy man, and he'll lose two this time. First man there, the right tackle, George Rivera. Let's go down to the sidelines and Greg Simmons.
Thanks, Dave Barnett. Behind me, if you could see him, is John Gillespie, the quarterback for Dulles. He just told me after that first possession for Dulles that he's still feeling a little weak. John has had the flu. He missed 2 days of classes, 3 days of practice. Didn't come back until yesterday. So the rest, at least at this point, is doing him well, but he wants to be back out on that field, guys.
And we fully expect he will be back on the field. Marion lost 3, second and 13. And a run and shoot look with nobody behind Spiller this time. Again, protection good. Fires for the end zone. Batted away by Roderick Stolpen. A senior backup linebacker who gets a lot of time for backup. He's probably their best blitzer. Drop back in coverage well here and forces third and 13. Spiller lucky not to have that one intercepted. Ronnie Bell and Bobby Etheridge vacation along with several other coaches every July 4th on the Guadalupe and Small Rivers in New Braunfels. They joke to each other. What if we met for state one year? they neither one of them will ever admit that they expected it to happen, but here they are. Alexander with the sack at the 29. He is Bell's best defensive lineman, a 6', 201-pound senior. Stops Spiller for a loss of 4, and it'll bring up 4th and 17. So whereas the Roos thinking 6 a couple of snaps ago, now a decision to make because they have not attempted a field goal all year, if you can believe that.
You see him get away from Alexander at first, but then he has nobody there, so Alexander gets a little time to catch up with him. But the speed of Spiller, he just pulled away from Alexander. But you'll see a lot of 66 today. Coaches say he's probably their best defensive lineman on the squad.
Well, with no field goals on the resume of Joe Corsi, they go for it on 4th and 17. And Spiller underthrowing receiver George Gooden. It bounced on one hop to Larry Harrison, and the Viking defense is held. Each team with an early drive threatening points, and both turned away with 3:43 in the first quarter. Still scoreless. And we will be right back. And they began, he just hoped to make the playoffs. He said the finals were beyond his wildest imagination. It's only the second trip to the finals for Dulles. They were a 2A team back in 1963 when they lost 7-6 to Rockwall. He had to replace 4 offensive linemen, a couple of 1,000-yard rushers, and did it and never looked back. Bobby Etheridge, who played at Lamarck for his father, Orville Etheridge, in the mid-60s. Their championship history, also one appearance in the finals, 1954. They lost by 8 in 2A to Phillips. And on first down, White for about 8 yards to the 37. Each defense is held on 4th down. In a quick first quarter, 3.5 minutes to go.
Here's a look again at number 44, and he is so tough to bring down. His center of gravity is so low to the ground. He's only 5'8", but he's about 175 pounds, and he's just so powerful with the lower body.
All wide out bottom of your screen is Wilmington. And the second man through is Wright from the left half. First down out across the 40, about the 41-yard line. Quinini from left tackle on the stop. At the conclusion of the game, Scott and I will be selecting the Pepsi Most Valuable Player for this year's 5A Division I championship game. Vikings should be at home here. This is the 4th postseason game they played here in the Dome, but Bell says it's still a neat thing for him. As Phillips carries for a couple, he says, you never get used to playing in the Astrodome, but as opposed to Killeen, they have got to be considered the home favorite today, although Killeen looks to have brought as Dulles has.
That's what I was trying to look at, David, and I think you're right. There seem to be as many maroon jerseys on this side of the field as there are red ones on the far side.
Phillips got 4, 2nd and 6. And Gillespie on the option to Wright. First down on second effort to the 46. Bryant Wright. Kangaroo defense may be a bit surprised that they've seen so much of Wright and not that much of Calvin Phillips.
Well, I'm sure the fella they're looking for is other Pointer Phillips, but this is Wright. On the option back, and a little move inside allows him to pick up about 7 or 8 more yards. Nice effort by Bryant Wright. He's a 5'9", 150-pound senior.
Under 2 minutes we go. And the Vikings from the 46 of Killeen. This time to Phillips with a flag down. Might have gained 3 before the stop by Charles West.
Phillips looking to go over the 1,000-yard mark if he has a good game here today. You see the holding call against Dulles. So that will negate that run.
Phillips, the man who scored the winning touchdown against Judson last week with only 32 seconds to go from 2 yards out. In, as Greg mentioned, what Bell says the best high school game he's seen, much less coached in. Vikings down at the half by 7, came back to win it. See if we can pick up the hold.
Looks like number 20.
Right with a pretty good grip on the jersey of Jeremiah Johnson. Johnson, backup linebacker. Second penalty. Makes it 1st and 19. Yard to gain now, the Killeen 36-yard line. 2 high-scoring attacks. Looking to get on track in the 0-0 first half. Fullback option. Solomon White airs it out, and it is broken up by Spiller. We have the 2 number 2s, maybe the best athletes on the field, paired one-on-one. Spiller made the play against Wilmington. They will both run 4-4, 4-5, 40-yard dashes. And White shows he can be a dual threat here. Pretty good air under this ball.
He did air this thing out, didn't he? But Spiller was right there in front of him. He had the position, so really no chance at all for Wilmington to make the reception.
Couple of yards short, so 2nd and 19. This time out of the tee, Wright in motion. And Gillespie with the option pitch to White. Won't throw it this time. And will be out of bounds near midfield. Good block by Phillips. Avery Wright came up from strong safety for the tackle. And Solomon White, 5'8", 173-pound senior, already 28 yards here in the first quarter. Only 4 there, so 3rd and 15.
Just about his average, too. He's about 7 yards per carry as we take another look at the last play. Solomon White going way back. I thought he was going in the wrong direction at one point. Just brought down on the far sideline.
And an official timeout as they check out an injured Kangaroo, Elton Watson, the free safety, being helped to the sideline. We'll take a break with our score 0-0. Right back after this message from our local Shamrock Oil Company. Diamond Shamrock has carried a 4 and 5A football playoff since 1966.
Quarter of a century, huh?
Exactly. Vikings come up 3rd and 15. They need to get to the Killeen 36-yard line, and Gillespie going deep. Not deep enough. They circle Phillips out of the backfield, and again, tight coverage by Spiller, the left corner, so bring up 4th and 15, and the Vikings will have to punt for the first time.
Tremendous coverage, but boy, did he ever have all time. He could have had a 4-course meal back there. Great protection from his offensive line, but the pass simply coming up short. So they'll punt it away. First time this afternoon.
Brent Williams averaging right at 34 yards per kick this year. The kick to Charles West at his 15. And the Kangaroos set up for a return. They won't need one. This one off the side of the foot will set up Killeen in pretty good shape. They'll walk it to the 34-yard line with 1:05 in the first quarter. These 2 teams got here mainly on the strength of their offense. You wouldn't know that from the 0-0 first quarter. The defenses have dominated, particularly with a couple of big fourth down stops.
Both these teams, of course, also having to come from behind in their last 3 ball games. So lots of cardio moments, so to speak, for both these clubs in the playoffs.
After just a 22-yard kick, Spiller set up from the 34. And right to the air. That will be overthrown to Gooden and caught by Marion.
Just like they planned it, David.
West it is. West off the deflection by George Gooden. Charles West with more receiving yards than the entire Viking team, which hardly ever relies on the pass. They average only 63 passing yards per game. You think he planned this?
Here's the play. Gooden tries to get it, gets it right into the hands of West. As we said, just like they planned it, not a bound. Second and about 2.
Had a lot of options also open over the middle that time, Gerald Patterson, but he looked the other way. Marion in motion out of the backfield. And a flag down as Spiller into Viking territory to the 40-yard line if it stands. Calvert, very active in the first quarter for middle linebacker, chased down Billy Spiller, which is no mean feat, and he gets the word it's against Dulles. Offside. This is precisely what Bell and especially the Viking defensive coaches feared. This guy in the open field.
Watch Billy Spiller, number 2. We'll say his name throughout the afternoon. Not only an outstanding quarterback, quick as lightning, but he's also the defending state long jump champion.
Long jump 25.4.5 in the state meet where they compile the records, but in a district meet 25.10. That doesn't count as an official record, however. So the point is he's an athlete.
For the Carl Lewis neighborhood, huh?
8 seconds, final play first quarter, 1st and 10, and intended for West. And again, Spiller lucky it was not picked off. Terrence Ford in the neighborhood. And that stops the clock. They will have time for one more play with 3 seconds.
That's a long way to jump. Of course, Carl Lewis in his high school days, I guess that's what.
Spiller also on the 5A state championship 400-meter relay team. Ford said it's probably the fastest team we will have faced all year. James Potter, Gerald Patterson, Charles West, all wide right. And that one overthrown, intended for Tyrone White. And that will be the final in the first quarter. Bobby Etheridge and Roddy Bell have decided nothing after 12 minutes of play. Killeen nothing, Dulles nothing. And we'll be right back after this message from Root Beer and Slice. And by Chevrolet, the heartbeat of America, the cars more people depend on. Dave Barnett, Scott Murray, nothing as we start the second quarter, and again down to Greg Simmons.
Thanks a lot, Dave Barnett. The sign behind me says, "Hello, Fort Hood," and so many of these people, of course, have military backgrounds coming from the Killeen area. As a matter of fact, it really impacted this community during the Desert Storm operation. A lot of these players, in fact, they tell me about a third of the football team had relatives and even perhaps parents who participated in Desert Storm, the last of which the troops just returned home to this community just a couple of weeks ago. So this is a nice distraction for those people who had to serve during the war effort.
Spiller also says we can really do a lot to raise the spirits of the town, which, as you know, several weeks ago, devastated by the mass murder at the Luby's cafeteria. On 3rd and 10, Marion bounces off the pile, and on the second and third efforts is going to be very close for a first down. Might not have quite stretched as far to the 31, but he's close. Jeff Stevens made the tackle. The numbers through the first quarter, very defensive-dominated game.
Passing yards, look at that, 36-2, David. Of course, rushing yards, about the same. Turnovers, that's one of the things that concerns coaches at all times, and at this point, everybody is very pleased with what they see on that stat board, 0-0.
Marion down right near Etheridge on the sideline, so that gave Spiller a chance to come over and get a quick word before they will go for it on 4th and 1. Kennedy got back. And a first down and a lot more for Marion. the 24-yard line. Denley and Alfonso on the tackle. Marion has been a load today.
Well, here's another look at it, David. We'll see why he has close to 1,100 yards on the year. Just simply pulls away. He's so strong and needless to say, is quick as well. 12 touchdowns rushing this year and averaging about 6 yards per carry. So he knows how to get it done.
Better than that today. 5th carry for 39 yards. 1st and 10. Dulles 24-yard line. Spiller over the middle, incomplete to West. Spiller's had some people open today and consistently wide high.
Yeah, that was another first down right there, pretty close to it, down near the 15, had they made the reception, and really nobody within 5 yards of him, so he probably would have picked up more than that. I'm sure the adrenaline is pumping a little higher than normal, and so you have a tendency to maybe rush things a little and not be quite as patient and explicit as you probably should be.
Does have a good soft touch. The touch probably a little too soft on that one. Brings up 2nd and 10. Roll the other way. Chased by Jason Handley. Got it off. Caught by Marion. Spin move near the 10-yard line and another first down.
What a great move. He was about to be brought down short of the first down marker, and he simply spun and almost picked up 5 more. We'll get another chance to see it. And watch what a plus the speed is of Spiller. Look at the way he just pulls away from that defender. And then the spin move by Marion. Boy, that's a dandy. And another 5 yards for the Roos as they pick up 1st and 10, just short of the 10-yard line.
Got also here the end of this play. Here's a test for that cast of Terrence Ford. Comes up, has to use it to make the stop. 1st and 10, not quite goal to go. They mark him down at the 12. Spiller on the run. Will have to cut his losses, and he will lose about 4. Denley came on a blitz. 5'9", 180-pound junior weak side linebacker.
Yeah, now this is where the speed, you'd like to think that he could get around the corner, but the angle simply wasn't there, and they just ran him to the sideline, and there's nowhere to go. And then Denley puts the finishing touches on him as he's pushed out of bounds after the loss of close to 5.
As the plays come in, Spiller was taller than 5'9". He might have been able to dump that away. He did the smart thing by not trying, because it might have been just an interception. Off the 4, 2nd and 14. Reverse to West. Lots of room. Cut back inside the 10, inside the 5, and to the 1-foot line.
I saw a flag go down there too, David. Just at the goal line.
Jacob Hawkinson finally making the tackle, and this one again against the Viking defense. On a face mask, they'll mark him right at the 1, 1st and goal.
Here's another look at it. Spiller just goes one way and on the reverse gives it back to Charles West, and he just does some awfully pretty moves. Look at the way he pulls away. These guys are so doggone fast. You go to put the grips on them, and they're gone before you can think about it.
And he's hurt. The right leg appears to be the problem. A heavy lift as West comes to the side. And 1st and goal from the 1. Marion off left tackle for the touchdown. Only appropriate that Marion should get the 6. He did most of the work on that drive. His 13th rushing touchdown of the year. It is 6-0 Killeen. Horsey, who has missed only 2 PATs this year, bounces that one off the right upright. His 3rd miss, and it is 6-0. With 9:37 in the 2nd quarter. That could really come back to play a big part of this game. Both these teams have had such tight battles through the postseason.
Here's another look at the touchdown. This is just sheer power, sheer determination on the part of Deion Marion. Touchdown, Killeen, and they lead it 6-0.
With the Kangaroos on top. We'll be right back. So 6-0 Kangaroos, 9:37 to go second quarter. There's unusual kick formation. Remember the opening kick, they tried it onside, and Dulles was ready. Maybe that's the product of the two coaches knowing one another so well. It's tough to surprise each other.
I'm sure they've got a few things up their sleeve, Dave. It's unique, though, isn't it?
Now they'll spread them out. Again, Wilmington is the middleman back deep for Dulles. Dorsey again with the dribbler from the 32, bobbled and finally covered at the 35-yard line by Jeff Stevens. And the Vikings take over from there. And as you mentioned, coming from behind, nothing new to either of these teams. They don't know what an insurmountable lead is. One more look at Marion's touchdown.
Marion on the touchdown goes left side and just pulls his way in, gets a hole there, and he's in for 6.
He's 185 pounds, but looks a lot bigger, runs a lot bigger.
And he'll be back next year. He's only a junior. Here's a look at the scoring drive. 11 plays, 66 yards, and the first score of the afternoon, Killeen on top, 6-0.
Gillespie still with it after the fake to White, and he will drag all the way to the 39-yard line, the tackler Chris Martinez. Let's go down to Greg Simmons. Well, the touchdown, of course, is set up by Charlie West. A nice pitch out in the roll to the right. He was injured on that play, took a helmet to the groin. The trainer says he will be back in the ball game, but they also tell me that play has worked for many a touchdown for this team. Well, maybe without the helmet, it would have worked on Matt. Charles West running. He's okay, shaking it off and lined up against Wilmington at right corner. 2nd and 6. Phillips for a loss. Mallory Canaday, probably the best defensive lineman for Killeen, just a junior. 6 foot, 203-pounder from right defensive tackle. 7.5 sacks, top on the team. Also stopped the most behind the line this year, as he does to Calvin Phillips.
Here's another look at it. You just see him come right through the offensive line of Dulles, and there he is. He's a junior, so he'll also be back next year as well.
Ball brings up 3rd and 8. Blitz look. And over the middle. Caught, first down to the 47-yard line to the tight end, Rod Renfro. That's the first catch that did not go for 6 to Renfro this year. It's just his 3rd catch, period. But the first 2, Bell, on the same pattern, got 6 on each catch by Renfro, senior tight end.
Memories of another Renfro that played here a few years ago with the Houston Oilers. First down, and they're in the Killeen territory.
No relation to Mike.
No, not at all.
6'2", 205. Under 8 minutes, first half. 6-0 Killeen. White through the middle. Ball might have been coughed up, recovered by Mike Carroll, the second tight end.
I think they're ruling that he was down.
And White got free before he lost it, so 2nd and 7. Dulles not bothered coming from behind. They don't want to get too far behind with their style of offense, and the ball definitely free and covered by an alert Carroll. Dulles has trailed at the half each of their last 3 games by 6 to MacArthur, by 7 to Lamar and Judson. Around left end this time, White might have lost 1. He is filled by Charles West at the 45 and make it 3rd and 8. That's the quickest recovery from a serious limp I think I've seen.
Well, he wins an Oscar for that one. Look at the penetration. Well, we're going to pick it up a little later than that. But the penetration from the defensive backs in the defensive secondary of Killeen, they are just so doggone quick. 3rd and down, only about 40% thus far, David.
Right in motion. Blitz comes. Gillespie dropped at the 47 by Elton Watson, another guy who has shaken off an early injury.
He came from Gillespie's blind side, and Gillespie lost another one that brings up 4th and 9. So the Vikings will have to kick. Plenty of time for Killeen with 6:08 and a half.
Here's another look at it again. Great penetration on the part of Killeen. And Gillespie was nowhere to go.
And give Rivera the nose tackle an assist because he slowed him long enough for Watson to get there. Williams kick to West at the 17 and no return. Kangaroos will have 5:48 to try to add to a 6-0 lead here in the first half. And we'll be right back after this message from our local station. Time remaining first half, and Killeen, after a 30-yard punt by Brent Williams, set up at their 17-yard line. First down with a 6-0 lead. Spiller has been as advertised so far, so has West, and he goes in motion. And the straight give to Marion, who has been better than advertised. Dion Marion near midfield before Harrison knocked him out. Lots of speed. Marion, Spiller, and West, all members of the state 400-meter championship relay team, third fastest in the nation. And Spiller also, as we said, with the state long jump record.
And you know who's second, David? Dion Marion, the fellow that just put him up close to midfield.
7th carry, 69 yards. Nearly 10 yards a try. That one goes for 29. And Spiller flushed and dropped for loss of a couple at the 44 by Jason Hanlon. Not many sophomores find their way in a championship game. He has started all year. Probably their best pass rusher, 6', 201-pounder. Just a reminder, coming up at the half, Scott and I will recap all the highlights of the first half. We'll also check with Greg on the field and feature some great halftime shows from the Viking and Kangaroo Band. Plus, we'll visit the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame and look at other UIL activities. That's all coming up at halftime, which is 5 minutes and 8 seconds away. Bobby Etheridge's dad, by the way, Orville, a member of the Texas Hall of Honor, high school legendary coach, passed away several years ago. Second and 11. On target to Marion out of the backfield and flung forward where he will be close for a first down. Roderick Stofus helped out Marion, gave him an extra couple of yards by slinging him down at the 44.5-yard line.
Great stuff. Here's another look at the replay on the play. Spiller back, and right there is Marion.
Stofus just wants to get it done however he can.
Sure does. Only 6 feet, 185, but boy, he sure gets the job done, doesn't he?
Marion about a foot shy on third down. Wide on trying again, easy first down inside the 40.
You know, David, you were talking about Bobby Etheridge's dad, Orville. He was hired many, many years ago by a fellow by the name of Ray Landry, who was the fire chief and the school board president in a little Texas town called Mission, Texas. And of course, I'm sure that brings up many memories for Cowboys fans. Ray Landry's the father of former Cowboys coach Tom Landry, and he hired Bobby's dad to be the head football coach at Mission many, many, many years ago. Small world, I guess.
3:40.5. Spiller blind bootleg, and the Vikings were ready, but can't catch it inside the 30, out of bounds. They'll mark him at the 28. Now that's probably the best illustration of his speed we've seen yet, because they were ready. They had that play scouted out. They had the coverage they wanted to try and contain him. They still couldn't do it.
And I don't know if we'll get a chance to see the replay or not, but it'll be number 23, Courtney Denley. He is literally there to cover up and make the tackle. Here, now watch 23 in red when he finally comes into your screen on the left side of your screen. See, look at the move he puts on him, and Denley's just caught in his tracks, and he picks up another 10 yards. He is just so doggone quick.
Marion split wide right. Keep an eye on him top of your screen. Spiller looking that way, hits pass. defended inside the 30. A loss of a couple as Edgar Alfonso came up from strong safety. Like to keep him wherever the wide side of the field is. They'll get Sophus back in, and the linebacker shuttles. Extra linebacker, they take out Stevens from corner. One more look here.
Here's another look. Spiller just drops it off into the flats of Marion, but not much out there this time. Loss of about 2 on the play.
Hawkinson came up to help out on the tackle. 2nd and 12 as we roll late first half. 6-0 Killeen, driving, looking for more. And a whistle before the snap. On illegal procedure. And that changes a lot. It'll be 2nd and 17 instead. Etheridge, the TCU graduate. His brother Lynn is the head coach at Tomball. Lynn has been in 2 state championship games, has yet to win. Orville, the father, also won those state titles, but they named a stadium after him in Lamarck. He must have done something right.
I would think so.
And so Etheridge kind of carrying the family banner here as they try and break through for their first championship. Three wideouts left. Gooden, top of your screen right, 2nd and 17. And great protection all day. Finally to the sideline and intercepted out of bounds by Jeff Stevens. Nice dive, but he was well beyond the sideline. It will be 3rd and 17. Spiller not victimized that often by pickoffs, only 7 times this year. Averaging 1 every other game.
Here's another look at the replay. That kind of shows the last part of it just before he released the ball. And as you can see, he was well out of bounds before he ever touched the ball.
Stops the clock at 2:20, and Killeen also 2 of 5 on 3rd down. They need the 18-yard line. And Marion with a stretching grab, but will again lose yardage to the 36-yard line where Sophus made the initial hit, quickly followed up by Alexander. So the Kangaroos marched backward after they were set up at the 28, and with 2:03 to play, they faced 4th and 17.
Here's another look at it. Goes to his left and then comes back across the field, but good coverage on the part of Dulles. And he's finally brought down after a loss of about 3 or 4 more. So Kangaroos, I guess, hop forward and whatever backwards, huh?
They want to talk about this. They will burn a timeout with 1:49 and discuss 4th and 17 with a 6-0 lead. We'll be right back. Check our money order to the address on the screen. You'll never have to wait till Friday night again for hard-hitting football Texas style. Just call 1-800-847-6993. Don't miss this opportunity. Call now. Chris Martinez, we think, will punt it away. Etheridge already has shown us some surprises. On 4th and 17 with 1:49 in the half. Right back deep, standing at his 10. And no funny stuff here. Aims for the 15. And Wright bounces off the initial hit. And to the 27-yard line, return of about 12 yards. Dustin Arnold made the tackle. And with 1:39 in the half, this is where Dulles is up against it offensively because Bell's system is all about ball control. Only averaging 63 passing yards per game, and they find themselves 73 yards away from a tying touchdown.
Yeah, 82% of the time they're running the ball, so they're not used to throwing it. Although John Gillespie and Wilmington are neighbors, and during the summer they practice Hail Marys, and one of them worked out a couple of weeks ago when they pulled the ball game out late in the ball game.
Extra effort by White, finally turned back. This is nice first down yardage. Watson came up, and they'll mark him down near the 35. And the clock continues to roll, and the Vikings will huddle and apparently settle for trailing 6-0 at halftime.
Here's another look at number 44, Solomon White. He's been the workhorse most of the day. has 36 yards on 7 carries thus far here in the closing minute of the first half.
That one intended and over Wilmington's head. Harris Wilmington pretty much the only target when they have to go through the air, so rather than rely on the surprise factor as the Kangaroo system does, they just rely on Wilmington's sheer speed. And you mentioned in the second half of the MacArthur win, his second touchdown catch from Gillespie won it with 2:04 to play.
That was the Hail Mary. Third down conversion, they're 33% today. See what they do right here.
Option. White looked like he might have wanted to throw and decided not to. Out of bounds at the 30, a loss of 4 yards. Watson very active along with Avery Wright, the strong safety for the hit. And Killeen with a 3-and-out defensive sequence should get it back. 59 seconds to go. They have allowed really absolutely nothing. One drive threatened, and then they pushed the Vikings back, and that's been the only hint of offense from Dulles here in this first half. So Brent Williams yet to boom one today. One off the side of the foot really hurt him. Much better effort here. It'll be fair caught by West at the 38-yard line. And unlike Dulles offensively, Killeen with 51 seconds to go in their system, that's almost an eternity.
Yeah, I think we'll see some fireworks here, some attempted fireworks. I have a feeling they're going to look to get to the other end of the field as quickly as possible right here.
Etheridge is signaling Spiller the play via Tyrone Weiss, the extra wide out. Goodman Patterson wide right. Weiss and West wide left, and Marion, who hasn't been stopped all day, the lone setback. And Spiller looked deep, settled short. Marion across the 40 and to the 42-yard line, 41 seconds. And we'll see if the Kangaroos will use their second timeout. Not of a mind to here. And in fact, they're going to huddle and play it safe, and they apparently will settle for the 6-0 lead.
A little surprised at that, David.
Me too. Spiller through the air, 8 of 15 for 63 yards. And we'll keep it on the ground. The draw play to Marion. To the 45 of Dulles, but 7 seconds remaining as they will stop the clock on the first down. Stevens and Sophus on the tackle. And one would think they would try and air it out with probably only one more snap in the half.
Well, the coaching staff all frantically signaling the timeout there on the field. So it's obvious that they're going to try and maybe come up with one Hail Mary or something close to it. I'm not sure if he can throw it that far. Do you have any idea how far Spiller can throw that football?
Well, from looking at him, probably 35, 40-yard pattern, I would think. And one more timeout with 7 seconds to go.
I mean, he's 140 pounds dripping wet if he's lucky. He's all of 5'8". But boy, he sure can move.
Well, all the skill people come to the side. Weiss, West, Gooden, and Spiller all in on the conversation. Marion has been their offensive story. 9 carries, 87 yards, and the touchdown.
And we're still in the first half.
6-0 because the extra point banged off the right upright. They send Gooden wide right, Weiss wide left, 4 wideouts left, and they put Spiller in the shotgun. A Hail Mary type formation. And he will hang it up. And picked off by Larry Harrison. Harrison finally dropped by Weiss, his 8th interception of the year to lead the Vikings. And that will be the end of the first half. the underdog, Killeen Kangaroos, head to the locker room with a 6-0 lead. Thanks to the 1-yard touchdown run by Dion Marion. Quickly down to the sideline, and Greg Simmons.
Thanks, Dave Barnett. With me, head coach Bobby Etheridge of Killeen, up 6-0. You did exactly what you needed to do to control this Dulles team and control the ball in the first half.
Well, we have so far, but it's a long way to go. Of course, the missed extra point, that doesn't help much. But right now, we're doing all right.
The play that set up the touchdown they tell me that's been working well for you this season.
It has. It's been one of our best plays all year long.
And Charlie West, is he all right?
Yes, he's fine. He's going to be all right.
Good luck in the second half.
Thanks very much.
Bobby Etheridge with us here at halftime, and coming up, all the halftime festivities. Back to Dave and Scott.
All right, Rick, 6-0. The underdog Killeen Kangaroos on top of undefeated Sugarland Dulles. Halftime coming your way from the Astrodome when we return. 6-0 is a score. Killeen on the 1-yard touchdown run by Dion Marion on top of Sugarland Dulles. Dave Barnett, Scott Murray, Greg Simmons with you from the Dome. If there's a surprise in this first half, Scott, it would have to be that this Dulles offense, which has controlled the ball against just about anybody they have played, has not been able to crank out the long drive.
Yeah, I'm really very surprised. I thought Dulles would really even handle the speed of Killeen. That's what everybody talked about coming in, but thus far it's been a totally reverse ball game. Killeen has just totally dominated both offensively and defensively.
In the halftime locker room, it's one thing to talk about making changes involving X's and O's. It's another thing to talk about trying to catch guys who are faster than you, and that's the whole problem that Killeen presents.
I think we saw what a positive that speed is. Everybody talks about speed and how wonderful it is to have speed no matter what ranks, high school, college, professional. But on so many plays there, we'd see West or one of the fellas, Spiller, they'd make a move this way, they'd deke it that way, and they're gone. And literally, the defenders on the part of Dulles were just ready to put their hands around and make the tackle, and I mean, just like that, it's gone. And so that's really played havoc thus far.
But again, it doesn't bother Dulles to be behind at halftime. They're used to it. They've been down at half. Each of the last 3 games, they won all 3. Might very well happen here. They are the favorite, and they are undefeated, but trailing 6-0. Quickly down once again to Greg Simmons.
Thanks, Dave Barnett. I thought that right off the top that perhaps Killeen had caught Dulles a little flat-footed just off the very beginning of how they opened up this game with the onside kick. But at the same time, John Glassie, keep remembering, has had that trouble with the flu, and he's been weak. It'd be interesting to see, for Dulles at least, how he holds up here in the second half after really having to struggle. He didn't see a lot of action because the ball control was, of course, to Killeen. So it'll be interesting to see how he responds here in the second half. We will have more of our halftime festivities here from the Astrodome right after this.
Never have to wait till Friday night again for hard-hitting football Texas style. Just call 1-800-847-6993. Don't miss this opportunity. Call now.
Welcome back to the Astrodome in Houston, Texas. Greg Simmons, along with Dave Barnett and Scott Murray, we're here to bring you the Division I State 5A State Championship game between the Killeen Kangaroos and the Sugarland Dulles Vikings. And as you see by the score on your screen, is now 6-0. Killeen out in front here. They're a very strong defensive first half. Let's go now and pick up some of the fine music from the Killeen Kangaroo Marching Band. Exhibition indeed by the Fighting Roo Band under the direction of Harry Blake. The drum major is Daniel McConnell, and you just saw a feature presentation there by the Kangarettes. And our score here at halftime, Killeen leading Sugarland Dulles 6-0. Welcome back to the Astrodome in Houston, Texas, a state 5A championship game. Killeen leading Sugarland Dulles 6-0 there. You're watching the performance by the Fighting Roo Band here. Every year we take the time to meet a former Texas high school football player. This year we went to Waco, Texas, in the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame to see where many of the state's outstanding players got their start. With the Kangaroos on top. We'll be right back.
Friday night again for hard-hitting football Texas style. Just call 1-800-847-6993. Don't miss this opportunity. Call now.
Welcome back to the Astrodome in Houston, Texas, where the Killeen Kangaroos are leading Sugarland Dulles in the big 5A state championship game, 6-0. By the way, the Kangaroo drill team is under the direction of Reed Farmer as the Fighting Roo marching band wraps up their performance here at halftime. Each year, the UIL provides for many extracurricular activities that students can get involved in, and the music program is one of the most popular programs Texas students participate in.
The University Interscholastic League.
6-0 Killeen leading Dulles. We'll be back with the Viking halftime presentation after. You'll be hard-pressed to find much of a winter wonderland inside the Houston Astrodome, but the Dulles marching band and drill team has done a fantastic job of bringing that to us here at halftime. There's the score, 6-0, Killeen on top. The game on Saturday at 3 p.m. on most of these stations. Check your local listings and join us for that game as well. The crowd here in the Astrodome with Killeen leading Sugarland Dulles 6-0. The director of the Dulles Marching Band is Bill Dugan, and the director of the Dulles Dolls happens to be Angela Seward. As people from all over the state have driven here to the Houston Astrodome today to be witness to the State 5A Championship game. This is Division I, and as we mentioned, Division II will be coming up here next weekend. The semifinals being held across the state tonight, including one semifinal game here in the Astrodome tonight at 6:30 between Marshall and Albany. In case you've just joined us, it has been a close defensive battle here between these two teams. Then a ball control offense for the Killeen Kangaroos. They missed that extra point, but it was set up nicely by a run by Charlie West, a reverse pitch out. And, of course, the only touchdown scored late in the second quarter. And so far, that has been the only score in this game. A tight battle, and that's exactly the way a state 5A championship game should be played. Isn't that right, Dave Barnett and Scott Murray?
It should be, and it is. And really not much in the way of stats or highlights to show you because of the defensive domination. Dulles with a missed field goal and this extra point by Killeen also playing a big part. And the numbers definitely favoring Killeen, 11-4 in first down, 127-64 in rushing yards. And that's probably the surprise because Dulles specializes in the ground game through the air. No surprise, 63-18. It all came down to the 1-yard run by Marion.
It really did. And, you know, the situation evolves where I was, as we said, going into the halftime. I am so surprised at the way Dulles has played here today. Talk about ball control. Look at this. This is Marion after Charles West had scampered about 15, 20 yards down to inside the 1-yard line. He picked up the short 1-yard run. But 87 yards already just on 9 carries. That's almost 10 yards a carry. And they just continue to do whatever they want at will. And this is a team that actually passes during the regular season more than they do rush.
It's going to be interesting to see what adjustments, especially the Dulles coaches make, because on the one hand, they're not unaccustomed to having to come from behind at the half. But on the other hand, as we said, the speed of Killeen is something that a lot of strategizing can't necessarily control.
No, the speed has really been the difference in this ball game. But there's so many things that you can change. You can say, okay, we're doing this or we're doing that, or they're doing this and they're doing that. We can go ahead and do this to counter that. You can't counter speed. You simply cannot counter speed, at least the way they've done it here in the first half. So I don't see a lot changing. And as far as coming back, it's not like they've already scored some points and they're just trailing. They've done absolutely nothing. So they really need to turn it around.
6-0 Killeen. And we'll have more from the Astrodome right after this. Pepsi Cola, makers of Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Mug Root Beer, and Slice. Welcome back again to the Astrodome. Dave Barnett, Scott Murray, Greg Simmons. The Dulles Vikings down 6-0. But as we said, it is nothing new. They came from 20-7 down against Aldine MacArthur, won with about 2 minutes to play, 27-26. They trailed at the half by 7, and Lamar won that one by that final of 26-14. And then last week, down by 7 at the half to Judson, won by 27-26. Killeen has come from behind in 8 of their last 9 games, including every game in the postseason. 9 straight victories, counting the tie that they won on penetration in the first round of the playoffs against Austin Johnston. Last loss, they didn't have Marion, and the Waco Lions won at 32-13. The Vikings back on the field. Out of Billy Spiller's first half passing numbers, 7 of his completions on 7 attempts to Marion out of the backfield. He only found West once. But they will have the 6-0 advantage as we get ready for the second half kickoff. Once again, down to Greg.
Thanks a lot, Dave. With me, head coach Ronnie Bell here of the Dulles Vikings. And, Coach, what do you have to do here in the second half to get back in this game?
Well, we've got to develop some consistency on offense. We're not a 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9 football team, but we had too many of those. Defensively, we've got to continue to contain the speed and eliminate the big play. Our kids play with heart all year, and I know they're going to the second half.
Well, they've been able to do it so far this season. Good luck to you in the second half.
Thank you very much.
Back to you, Dave.
All right, Greg. 6-0. Bobby Etheridge says that before the season began, he would have settled for a playoff berth, period. 3rd in their district, 13-5A. They lost to Temple, lost to Waco. They got Marion back. He had 3 games where he didn't play at all. He had 5 others where he didn't play much. He had a separated shoulder and a sprained ankle, and they might be undefeated had those injuries not occurred. He's healthy. He's been healthy throughout the postseason. And Gillespie warming up the arm just in case the deficit gets any worse. Only 2 of 5 through the air in the first half for the Vikings senior quarterback. Vikings will have to kick it away to start this 3rd quarter. Weston Marion back, standing on their 10-yard line. And they await the kick from Steve Davison. A 14-0 record for Dulles in jeopardy, as both these teams enjoy a trip to the finals for only the second time in their school history. Marion on the left, West on the right. And Dulles using Jason Hamley for the short kick. Each team has tried it, and in both cases, no surprise. Chris Martinez made the recovery as the Vikings make an unsuccessful bid to get the ball right back. And it'll be kangaroo ball from their 40-yard line. Look at how they did possession-wise in the first half. Started from their 20, drove 10 plays, but stopped on fourth down, an 11-play drive for their touchdown, another 10-play drive for a punt, and then at the end of the half, only 3 plays and the Hail Mary intercepted at the gun. 7 of 16 for 63 yards and that 1 interception for Spiller. And again, Marion, big hole inside the 35-yard line.
Yeah, this has got to take the wind right out of your sails. Here's a team that comes out, and we talk about Dulles. They know they're only trailing by a score of 6-0, have done absolutely nothing offensively in the first half. And then look what happened. First play from scrimmage, and Marion scampers about 20, 25 yards.
26 officially, 10 carries now, and 117 yards for Marion.
Opening minute of play, second half. Boy, he has got a ball game in his hands.
Scott, they're undefeated when he has at least 100 yards, 4-0, including the quarterfinals and the semifinals. And today, another 100-yard day in the finals. Overshot the intended receiver, James Potter. And again, when Spiller misses, he generally misses wide high today.
By a bunch. Needed stilt. Potter's only 5'5", but he could have been 6'5" and still come up short on that one. Here's another look at it. Intended receiver, it's way over his head. He could have stood on top of himself and still had trouble catching that.
It's uncharacteristic. He was very accurate during the games leading up to today, 60%. And we told you about its track background. So 2nd and 10. And the draw play to Marion. Flag down as Marion pushes forward all the way to the 21-yard line. He is ankle tackled at that spot by Silphus, and we'll wait for the mark-off. It's where you normally see holding, and that's the call.
Yeah, same exact call they called a moment ago in the first place in scrimmage to open the second half. On the draw, and there he goes, but you see the hold. And I can't get a number, but you see number 21 have his jersey, or 31 have his jersey taken halfway up to his helmet.
Hawkinson, the man being held, and looked like Kenton Davis, 73.
It's the offense. Second down.
Doing the holding, so the mark-off back to the 45.
73 is Kenton Davis. So they'll bring that one back.
Spiller sacked twice, hurried 4 times, 3 deflections. And the interception on the final play of the half. Pass defense has been solid for Dulles. Their problem has been dealing with Dion Marion. And on play action, Spiller looking deep, chase. Great escapability, and almost caught by Gerald Patterson. Well, might have been slightly deflected by Stevens. If it was, that probably upset Patterson's timing just enough for it to bounce off his shoulder pads, and it'll be 3rd and 20.
You know, we talk about the protection, David, but it's as you call it, the escapability of Spiller. It buys him so much extra time. It's amazing the way he stands there. Watch him stand there till the last minute, and just as he's about to get taken down, he goes one way and then back the other and buys himself another 5 or 6 seconds.
I don't think Stevens touched it, but maybe the eye in front of the face of Patterson, enough of a distraction. So 3rd and 20 it is. First drive, 3rd quarter. Double reverse, and back to Spiller to go deep. Vikings were ready, and it is still caught. Touchdown, Charles West.
Oh, unbelievable.
Statue of Liberty from Bobby Etheridge today. That ball looked for all the world like an easy interception.
It sure did. It looked as though it was going to be short. But it wasn't, and Charles West picks up reception number 80 on the year, and boy, is 80 going to be a memorable one. He comes in the state championship, and it puts Killeen on top by a score of 12-0. 45 yards on that play.
Since they missed the PAT, they go for 2 here. 3 wideouts right. Marion the lone setback. And Spiller rolling short side, and again, West for the 2-point conversion. That is the 5th 2-point conversion for West this year.
This team is really fun to watch. And you think of football as being a big man's game. West is 5'10", Potter's 5'5", Spiller's 5'8", Marion's the big guy and even 6 feet. Here's another look at the touchdown. Spiller dropping back, he jumps off, here comes, reverse back the other way, then they give it back to Spiller. Exchange time, or hands 3 times, and into the hands of Charles West.
And right through the hand.
It sure was.
Larry Harrison, the leading interceptor, had it go right through his fingertips. 4 Kangaroos handle the ball on the touchdown play, ending up in the hands of West. It is 14-0. 10:39 in the third. We're back after this message from our local station. Calvin Phillips. Finally, Marion on time at the 41-yard line. You like one platoon football, you like high school, because guys like Marion have to do it all. One more look here. This is amazing that Harrison does not pick it off and that West has the concentration to bring it in.
There's 1, 2, 3, and still lets loose. And there's where it was almost picked off, but the man that finally put his hands in the ball for keeps is Charles West. He legs it in. Touchdown, Killeen.
Ripping his way into Killeen territory, Solomon White quickly first down on a 12-yard pickup by the fullback, the senior 173-pounder. And you can just immediately sense the urgency on the Dulles sideline, down 14-0. Very true to the huddle. Time to get busy. 10-15 and counting, third quarter. And once again, White, nice gain. He'll get 8 or 9 inside the 40. Crowd on these first 2 plays, easily the best that the offensive line has been since the opening drive for Dulles. 10th carry, 53rd yard for White. The offensive line, by the way, averaging 235 pounds to 202 pounds on average for the Killeen defensive line. So they have got the tonnage to do some damage. This time Phillips lashes to the 27, first down. Dulles is serious about it now.
Yeah, all of a sudden it's like somebody flicked on an on-off switch and said, hey, fellas, it's time to play some football. Phillips takes it in and picks up another first down.
Watson and West fresh off the touchdown catch on the tackle, 5th carry, and that's a surprisingly low number for Phillips.
Most of it on that last run.
White slams inside the 25. Raymond Roscoe on the tackle. Let's go again to Greg Simmons. Dave, on that touchdown pass by Billy Spiller, he suffered an injury. He jammed the ring finger on his left hand, not his right, his throwing hand, his left hand. He, of course, is expected to come back, but they tell me, although they've run that play before, that's the first time this season they've been able to score off of it. Hey, timing is everything. You're going to do it right. Might as well wait until the final. Keeper for Gillespie dives near the 21. And it'll be 3rd and 4 or 5. Tackle made by Chris Martinez from his linebacker spot. Key play of the drive coming up after huge gains by White. Set them up in Killeen territory.
And this is what Ronnie Bell said at the half, that he didn't want to see in this situation where he's got 3rd and 5 or 6 to go, because they're not used to doing that, and they really can't capitalize on it.
A great tackle John Rivera made the tackle. And we'll see if they need to measure. Official timeout. They will bring the chains in.
Here's another look at it. Here is to Solomon White, number 44, and he just bowls his way right up the middle. It looked to be enough at first, but where they placed the ball, it's debatable. We'll see what the change result is. Half the length of a football.
So 1st and 10 from the 17. In the first half, Dulles went 8 plays, missed a field goal, 9 and punted, 7 and punted, and 4 and punted. Through defense grew stronger as the first half went on. They got a major challenge here with a 14-0 lead. Phillips on the cutback, straight up the middle, touchdown. Phillips, 14th touchdown of the year. 17-yarder, bringing the Vikings within a Davison extra point of trailing by 7, and he's good. God, it's like a different bunch of guys in those red jerseys.
It certainly is. Ever since they scored the touchdown moments ago, as we watch it here, they pulled them within 7. This is Phillips who goes 17 yards in this play. That's his total output, or half his total output this afternoon. 6 carries for 35 yards. The big one there for 17 yards in the score. Suddenly we're back with a football game at 14-7.
Only guy who has a shot here, the nose tackle, Rivera, can't get him with the ankle tackle, and he just runs away from West and into the end zone standing up. So 14-7, the Killeen lead, and we'll be right back.
7:50 left, third quarter, but this is how it looked moments ago. Number 24, Calvin Phillips, the man that got the game-winning score with 32 seconds left just a week ago, scores with about half the third quarter gone to pull them within 14-7.
Marion with the return will be knocked out of bounds at the 25-yard line. And the drive went 7 plays and 58 yards. That 14-point lead didn't last long. Killeen will start 74 yards away with 7:44 to go third quarter. And now we have the game we expected to have.
And suddenly that two-point conversion that they capitalized on, and we talked about Killeen after missing the extra point early on, went for the two-point conversion, made it, and that was a good move at this point of the ball game at 14-7.
Marion out of the backfield. Spiller, quick drop, tripped up, and his knee hit at the 19.
I'd like to see a replay on that again, because I thought his hand went down and kept his knee from touching.
I did too. But the official back there.
Now watch his left knee or his right knee. See if it touches. No, neither knee touched.
Missed by about 6 inches.
Well, no instant replay in high school football, so they'll just have to suffer the consequences, and that's a tough break. And that, again, it shows you how quick and how agile Spiller is. But to no avail that time around.
He had a lot of room, and instead they lose 6. Second and 16. Up the sideline, complete. George Gooden with his 16th catch of the year, 6'1" senior. Knocked out by Jeff Stevens. And that's a chunk of what they needed. 10 to be exact, and it'll be third and 6.
Here's another look at it. Again, good protection.
Pressure came from Jason Handley. Miller got it off just in time. And he will send James Potter right. Gooden will be wide left, and Patterson will be slot left. West is slot right. And West directing Gooden to come back to his side. Triple wide outs right, and now they might have used too much time. Flags down.
Delay of game against the white team.
So 3rd and 11 instead of 6 needed.
Yeah, that makes a big difference there. They just couldn't decide who was going to be on what side, who was going to be in the slot, who was going to be the wideout. Here's a look at the penalties thus far. Really, not all that much. Killeen, as a result of that, taking the advantage. I guess they already had the advantage. They're up to 25 yards. That's not all that bad, I don't think, at this point. But put 5 more yards on them right now, so it's a lot different than 2nd 11 than 2nd and 3rd and 6.
Different set, too. They swing Marion out of the backfield, and Spiller again flood. Over the middle, caught somehow by James Potter for the first down.
Boy, he's right on the line, too, Dave. Great effort. And again, you can't get too close to Spiller. It's almost like you have to kind of play off of him like you would a receiver. Look at how they don't. Well, that's a tough angle to see it from that point, but you just don't know which way to commit yourself because he's so doggone quick. Buys himself more time and picks up the big first down.
Potter helicoptered down by Courtney Denley. They needed 11 and got probably 11 and a foot, so 1st and 10 from their 38. On the ground in Marion, he's had room up the middle all afternoon to the 42 of Dulles. Denley and Wilmington prevented even more damage. Got to credit the center, Dustin Arnold, and both guards, Arturo Aguilar and Kenton Davis, for clearing another huge hole for Marion.
You really do, Dave, and they've done it all afternoon. Those 3 fellas up front, right in the middle. And Marion, 11 carries for 137 yards, and we've still got 6 minutes left in the 3rd quarter.
The draw play, Marion got something where it appeared there was nothing. He's going to give him about 2 to the 40. What a difference. Again, the 3 games and the parts of 5 others with 2 injuries, a separated shoulder and a sprained ankle. Since he got healthy again, they have not lost.
Well, I tell you, when it's money time, he's tough. Last week he had 125 yards and scored 3 times. And this week, he's already up to 137 yards. So as we wind down here in the 3rd quarter, he certainly has to have his name cautioned into the MVP Bowl on what's taking place here in the championship game today.
He's it so far. Halfway 3rd quarter. Caught by Gooden. 2nd catch on the drive. 1st down, Vikings 30. And he says, come to me again. Stevens was there for the tackle. As Scott said, at the conclusion of the game, we select a Pepsi Most Valuable Player for this year's 5A Division I championship game. That's when they come back. Flags down. And this is going to be costly. They were at the Vikings 30, set up 1st down. Instead,
got illegal motion against the white team. Still play 2nd down.
but it'll be 2nd and 13. Gooden gets a breather. Marion in motion out of the backfield. And the quarterback draw, and the Vikings were ready. Spiller, maybe for a yard or two. Tim Alexander reached out and one-handedly set down Billy Spiller.
Yeah, that was a nice effort by Alexander. Here's another look at it. Watch number 66 in red. Just gets the mid on him, just the one hand enough to pull him down, or he's gone.
Alexander with about a 63-pound advantage. The only advantage that the Vikings have on Spiller with that quickness but lack of size. 8-play drive so far, and this is the key play. 3rd and 12. Chased again by Alexander, and now by Hanley, and he will keep and have a 1st down.
That is incredible. There is nothing more you can say. That is all Billy Spiller. Now watch number 2 on your screen. Billy Spiller drops back, takes a look around, avoids the one tackle. That was Tim Alexander again. This time he's a little quick for him. And he just literally outruns everybody. Just pours it on. and picks up the first down. Quickness, speed, again. Tough to counter.
He'll probably play somewhere in college, but probably as a defensive back or a wide receiver. This may be his last game as a quarterback in his football career.
The coming of another Rocket, I guess, huh?
Maybe. But a memorable,
Well, he's got
Nolly if it is.
got some potential. Kind of tells the story, does it not? Killeen with twice as many first downs already. 16. We still got 4 minutes left, third quarter. They have certainly controlled this ball game outside of the touchdown moments ago from Dulles.
Bobbled snap, bobbled handoff, and the Vikings would appear to have the recovery. Rivera and Alexander fall on it and give the recovery to George Rivera. Spiller bobbling the snap, Marion bobbling the exchange. And with our score still 14-7 Killeen, we'll be right back after this message from our local station. But an interception and now fumble recovery. And the Vikings look for the tying score. Gillespie still with it. Got away from Mallory Kennedy, and now finally slung down by Rivera. Help came from Larry Woods, number 12, the right defensive end, and Chris Martinez from linebacker.
Here's another look at it.
Not much by Rivera. And then Woods came over to finish him off. 3rd and 8 after a loss of a couple. Safety blitz. Watson let him get away, and off the hand of Solomon White. Scott, if he brings this in, he might just take it in.
Yeah, he's gone. But again, Gillespie is just got all kinds of pressure on him back there, and they're just not used to playing this kind of football. Now, he's got some time here. He turns around and avoids one oncoming secondary man, and then just forces it. But as Dave said, he's got clear sailing right up that far sideline.
Maybe one guy to beat at most, but instead 4th and 8. Williams, who's averaged at 28 yards, gets off one of his better efforts here, and West with the fair catch at the 26 of Killeen. Now then, score still 14-7 Kangaroos. We're right back after this message from our local station. They send Gooden and Patterson wide right, bottom of your screen. Weish and West wide left. They'll send West in motion. And Marion, for the first time in memory, does not pick up a huge chunk of yards up the middle. Maybe a couple. Jacob Hawkinson, the strong side linebacker, was there. Dulles defensive coaches maybe now packing the middle, whereas before, if he gets past the line of scrimmage, he's got it 10, 15 yards before anybody can drag it down.
Well, like you mentioned before, Aguilar and Arnold and Davis really been opening up some holes up that middle, but they shut him down that one time. We'll see what happens here. 2nd and about 7.
Passing set out of the shotgun. Run and shoot look. Spiller will have to run. Fires, caught by Gooden, and fumbled at the 33-yard line. Dulles recovers another one. Courtney Denley jumps on the loose ball.
Bobby Etheridge's got to be beside himself right now, I'll tell you. Took care of the one fumble up at the other end. They held Dulles, forced them to punt, but now here they fumble it up again on their 2nd possession in a row.
And Gooden trying to figure out where it went wrong. This is deep in Killeen territory for 1st and 10 from the 33. Phillips for maybe a couple. Robert Quinini, the left tackle. The 5'11", 292-pounder with a quick reaction. 2nd turnover by the Kangaroos. First one cost them nothing. We'll see if that's the case here. As we get late, third quarter, 1:18 and counting. First man through is White to the 27. Martinez on the tackle. White, who carried 13 times for nearly 100 yards last week in the one-point win over Converse Judson. We may be heading toward another one-point decision. Dulles has had 2 already in the postseason.
Yeah, already this year, or this week, Dave, he's only got 68 yards, 15 carries, so he's well below his average. That's just a little better than 4, and he's about 7.2 in the season, so they've really shut him down this afternoon.
Still in the full house. Wilmington wide right. Keep it on the ground. Phillips, second effort. First down to the 21-yard line. And it took the second effort. Raymond Roscoe and Elton Watson on the tackle. Bell shuttles into plays with his tight end. This is Mike Carroll. And one more look.
Here's a look at Calvin Phillips. He's number 24 around the left side. And he's brought down and then about the 25, and then lengths it all the way up to about the 21. It's just brute force. He's averaging close to 6 yards a carry this afternoon.
Clock rolling inside of 15 seconds on what might be the final play of the third quarter. First and 10, Kangaroo 21, and a keep of maybe 2 yards for Gillespie. Had an 81-yard keeper last week in their comeback over Converse Judson, and that will do it for the third quarter. Vikings still down 7. It is Killeen 14, Sugarland Dulles 7, and we'll be right back after this message from our local makers of Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Mug Root Beer, and Slice. Welcome back to the Astrodome. Dave Barnett, Scott Murray, Greg Simmons. 14-7, an undefeated team down 7, driving for a tying touchdown as the fourth quarter begins.
Well, they've come back the last 3 weeks, but as we said at the half, David, my gosh, they have done absolutely nothing. They scored the one touchdown, but over and above that, it has all been all Killeen this afternoon, and I really don't see a lot changing.
This will be 2nd and 8 for Gillespie. And the misdirection, they end up with Bryant Wright carrying it for the first time this half, and he will have first and goal to go. Wright got a lot of first quarter duty. We haven't seen him much since then. The third quarter numbers. Killeen beating Dulles at their own game, 188 to 138 on the ground, and 132 to 20, not even close, through the air. So a major total yardage advantage for Killeen, and yet they're 8 yards away from a potential tying touchdown.
Incredible.
Phillips, second man through to the 5. This after the turnover on the fumble by George Gooden. Second turnover by the Kangaroos, and the first that may cost them. They survived okay after the first. And in this end of the field, Gillespie 14 rushing touchdowns this year. Phillips 13 before today. And White 12. Lots of different options. This is White on the fake, and Gillespie on the keeper to the 3 to bring up 3rd and goal. That's the misdirection. That is what the T offense is all about, as opposed to the wishbone where you work mainly through options. Bell's system involves sending one guy across, hoping the defense goes for him, and then the other way. In this case, it's fake to White and the keeper by Gillespie.
That's exactly what David's talking about, and he got hammered. Big play right here, 3rd down.
Flag down before the snap. White got in because the defense relaxed hearing the whistle. Got a dead ball. We've got illegal procedure. This has not been a penalty-marred game, but of all spots to get one. Now it's 3rd and goal from the 7.
Ronnie Bell not too excited about it. 76 moving a little ahead of the snap of the ball.
Well, maybe
Goes back about 5 yards. What's that?
Maybe 1/100th of a second.
It was awful close.
That is tough.
But it's a costly one right now because it takes them back to the 8-yard line.
Well, it's just a power advantage. They go to the air. Gillespie swings it out to right. At the 4-yard line, Roscoe buries him. And it'll be 4th and goal.
Saving tackle by Raymond Roscoe. He leads the team in tackles per game. And that was a big one.
And the field goal unit out for the Vikings. Steve Davison is a junior who moved up from the junior varsity after the 6th game. He's only tried 2 field goals before today, made them both. This will be a 21-yarder. Big angle to the right. And he got it. So the Vikings decide we've got to come away with something. And they settle for 3. They cut the lead to 4, 14-10. With the Kangaroos on top, we'll be right back. Every sack, every score. The 5A championships are now on home video. High school football at its best. Call 1-800-847-6993 to order your tape now. All major credit cards accepted, or send check or money order to the address on the screen. You'll never have to wait till Friday night again for hard-hitting football Texas style. Just call 1-800-847-6993. Don't miss this opportunity. Call now. Ronnie Bell's Vikings have never led today, but this is as close as they've been since Killeen's Dion Marion 1-yard touchdown run. 14-10, 9:23 to play in the Division I 5A state title game. And Jason Hanley with the kick, which will be fielded by Charles West at the 15. Return left set up. He's got room. West to the 45-yard line before the hit finally applied by Darius Wilmington.
Here's another look at the field goal, folks. 25 yards out. Steve Davison, who got the game-winning extra point versus Converse Judson just a week ago. And for a guy who's only kicked 3 all year, he looks pretty businesslike about it. He certainly was. Then played 33-yard drive, but credit the Rue defense for preventing 6, because they at one point were back on their own 2. And the penalty really cost the Vikings hope for a tying touchdown. Marion, for the second straight time, trying the middle and coming away with a gain of maybe 1. Vikings finally adjusting to those thrusts between the guards for Dion Marion, and Tim Alexander from left defensive tackle made the first contact. They give it 2, 2nd and 8. These are coaches who vacation together every July 4th, joked about meeting in the state title, and reality proves stranger than fiction today. Spiller, blind bootleg with room, and close for a first down, but a flag down. Let's go down to Greg Simmons. I tell you, with me right here is Ronnie Bella. That name sounds familiar. This is the daughter of head coach Ronnie Bella Dulles. And is it true you actually took their wedding party when you were married just a few weeks ago to a Dulles game?
We sure did. We had the rehearsal at 2 o'clock in the afternoon so we could make the game, and then we had the rehearsal dinner after the game.
But you missed the game. Why was that?
We were in Hawaii on our honeymoon.
Oh, Dave, sorry excuse. What do you think?
I know, it broke its trend. It's the first game I've missed this season, so we were a little disappointed, but we're glad we're here today.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Well, for white team, still play second down. Greg, you're right. Very, very flimsy excuse to miss a Dulles game. Somehow she got by with it. 2nd and 12 after the holding. 8.5 minutes to go. Kangaroos protecting a 4-point lead. And Hanley comes with pressure. Marion into Viking territory, and he is tripped up with a first down at the 40 by Larry Harrison.
And that's a big play, David, because the last 2 times that they've had the ball, Killeen has fumbled. last 2 possessions. And, of course, the one resulted in a field goal to pull the Vikings to within 4. But Spiller drops back, takes his time, brings it around. Nice grab by Marion, and Marion does the rest. Gets it into the territory of Dulles. So that's a big play. It maintains possession for Killeen with 8:12 and counting here in the final quarter.
Spiller with the gift to Marion. This time a little more room up the middle, but again, until the last 2 possessions, he was getting 10, 15, 20 yards through that same hole, and again, Alexander plugged it, and they'll give him 4 here. Not bad on first down as the clock becomes a major concern of Ronnie Bell, who does not have a fast-paced offense. They've averaged or scored at least 24 or more points in 11 straight games. The Vikings, they've got 10 here. And they've got to wonder what the situation will be when they get the ball back. Out of the shotgun, Spiller to keep, and maybe the tackle of the day. Edgar Alfonso from strong safety at the 40. If he doesn't get Spiller down, that might create room for a first down up the right sideline.
Now, Alfonso plays that wide side of the field, depending on where the hash marks and where the ball has been placed. And he just is one-on-one against Spiller and makes a beautiful tackle.
And a blocker out there, Gooden, and instead a loss back to the 40. 3rd and 9 with time continuing to tick down on the Vikings. Draw play, Marion, no gain. Alexander with another major hit.
Well, Dulles assistant coaches call him the best lineman they have on the defensive front 4, and you're getting a chance this afternoon to see why. Look at this effort. On the draw play, Marion, nothing. Number 66 right there. Tim Alexander.
So Martinez will have to kick it away, and the Vikings should get it back with half the 4th quarter remaining. That is Bryant Wright standing at his 10. No rush as the Vikings play return. And this is going to pin him back at their 10-yard line. Just what Martinez wanted. And with Killeen on top 14-10, we'll be right back after this message from our local station. 17-0 Sugarland Dulles, 90 yards away from a state championship with 5:40 to play. Today's 5A Division I championship coverage made possible by the University of Texas at Austin on behalf of the University Interscholastic League and TVG Sports. Any rebroadcast or videotape reproduction of this telecast without the written consent of the University Interscholastic League or TVG Sports is prohibited. John Gillespie and the Vikings from their 10. First down, up the middle, Solomon White for 5, and the clock will roll at 5.5 minutes after the tackle by Avery Wright.
Killeen, of course, up 14-10, and you see the cardiac kids from Sugarland Dulles. They better get something in gear right now, though, or their pulse will cease to exist here in 1991. Killeen has won all 4 of its ball games in the playoffs by 4 points or less, and right now with 5 minutes left to play, they lead by 4 points.
Gillespie buried for a loss of 1. Mallory Kennedy with the stop. It'll be 3rd and a long 5.
I am amazed at how the Killeen defense is played when you look across the front. 5'10", 181, 5'11", 5'7", 167, 6'2", 168, and you see the third down conversion, 25% is all they've been able to muster this afternoon.
Looking for Wilmington. Got it. Foot race with Spiller, who drags him down at midfield. Well, we wondered if we get any one-on-one play between the 2 fastest men on the field. Wilmington for the Vikings, Spiller, the quarterback defensive back for Killeen, and they square off. And a huge gain to midfield for Darius Wilmington.
Wilmington coming in this afternoon only had 29 receptions on the year, but he averages 19 yards per catch, and that one's well over 19. That's 35 to be exact. And a big first down for Dulles.
Calvin Phillips out of the tackle, still going. Still going. Inside the 40 to the 36-yard line. West on the tackle. The Vikings on the march. 4:06 remaining.
And we see firsthand why they call them the cardiac kid.
Phillips says these comebacks aren't getting any easier. There's still a lot of guys who have doubts each week whether we'll pull them off. So far they've done it each week. And they're trying to cap it with a state title to the 32, White, but a flag down, and that'll stop the clock at 3:52. And we will wait for the indication.
Foul, illegal procedure, against the red team. They'll play first down.
Whatever is an illegal procedure penalty that forced them to go for the field goal, or else they might already be tied 14-14. See if we can pick it up. Everybody on the line looks good.
Well, they sure did.
Well, the previous procedure in the goal-to-go situation also pretty tough to discern where it happened. Only the fifth penalty against the Vikings makes it 1st and 15. Clock rolls at 3:40. Bryant Wright off left tackle to the 33. And the misdirection taking a toll. Roscoe finally figured out who had the ball, made the tackle, and the clock continues to roll. And the ability of Bell to get the big gainer to Wilmington early in the drive is so key, because now they've got enough time. If they hadn't gone to Wilmington for the 35-yard catch and run to midfield, it would be much tougher. Gillespie late pitch right, reverses field, and it's dragged down at the 37 by Charles West. And he did not get out of bounds. 2:50 and counted. Two great plays there. Gillespie to get the pitch off. West on the recovery for the tackle.
Here's another look at it. Gillespie still has the ball and then pitches back just as he's being brought down. And then Wright finally hit by West and brought down.
3rd and 10. Gillespie again for Wilmington, broken up and incomplete. Filler made the play.
Miller made the play of the game, maybe. Boy, that was a big one. That brings up 4th down now.
And the Vikings will call their first timeout.
Watch number 2 in White. Watch Filler leap. Took it right away.
Don't go to Wilmington often. When they do, they mean business. And Ronnie Bell has a 4th and 10 to discuss with the state title on the line. 14-10 Killeen. We'll be right back. A moment ago on the sideline. So a 4th and 10 with 2:18 to play, and all it means is a perfect season and a Division I state championship. Watch the bottom of your screen, Wilmington. Wright goes in motion. And Gillespie is in trouble and sacked. And that might do it for the Kangaroos. Player of the game with the play of the game.
There's another look at it, trying to find somebody open downfield. Nobody there, and there's a number we've called out many times this afternoon. Number 5 in White. Dion Marion.
Well, that's the first time we've called it on the side. Get your best athletes out there and let them play. The philosophy of Etheridge, and it's 1st and 10 Killeen with 2:12 to play. Vikings have 2 timeouts left. Pitch goes to Marion. Marion, the Viking territory, first down inside the 45-yard line.
And now all you want to do is hold on to the football.
And if you're Marion, you first of all want to see if you can get up. Grab the left knee after the hit by Wade Calvert. Dion Marion, by the way, is our Pepsi most valuable player. He had the first touchdown, which gave Killeen what has so far been an insurmountable lead. Almost unstoppable on the ground all afternoon, and you just saw it make the potential game-clinching sack on Gillespie. 161 rushing yards, 67 receiving yards, and the first touchdown of the day. Dion Marion, our player of the game, being helped to the sideline. What that does for Dulles is allow them to keep both timeouts in their pocket. Clock now rolling, 2:03 in counting. Filler in no hurry. Up the middle, 8 or 9 yards for Marion's backup, Raymond Roscoe, who gets most of his duty at linebacker. And a timeout with 1:37. Next to last timeout for Dulles. And this will be 2nd and 3. Scott, they've got one option. They've got to tackle the ball. They sure do. But boy, that last play, he was right up the gut. They just continue to plug right through that Dulles defense. Again, I'm still mind-boggled the way they've manhandled the defense of Dulles today. They're certainly outmanned or outweighed right across the front, and they've still moved them out and gotten the job done very effectively. Kangaroos 1:37 away from their first state championship, and just a few weeks ago, the town of Killeen hit with the unspeakable tragedy. The multiple murders at Luby's cafeteria, and Bobby Etheridge's team banding together to do what they can to make Killeen forget about the tragic past and have something to celebrate. And they are so close. Roscoe again. First down to the 31, 1:32. And the Roos roll on. In Rattler Stadium in Odessa, Permian 7, Waco nothing in the second quarter. District 13-5A with Waco still at it, Division 2, and Killeen, the third-place finisher in the district race, on the verge of the Division 1 title. And whistle prior to the snap with 1:04. Flag stops the clock. Of course, the last time that Killeen lost a football game was way back in October when they lost to Waco. Delay of game, trying to use up as much time on the clock as they can. We talk about the Kangaroos. The last time Killeen lost the ball game was to Waco. Now Waco involved in that semifinal. Might not have lost it if they had Marion. He's been the difference maker today.
They've not lost since he returned.
They have not had to come from behind. They've been a wire-to-wire leader today. 6-0 at the half. Bumped it up to 14-0. 10 straight Viking points. But Marion sack ending their last hope. And Roscoe again on 1st and 15 gets 5. The Vikings will use their final timeout of the day with 57 seconds. Down on the field before the game, he was telling us what it would mean to his family, let alone the city of Killeen. That's understood. But his family, the effort is to the well several times and always empty in state championship situations. Lynn, the coach at Tomball, 0-2. The father, Orville, never able to punch through. So Bobby Etheridge is 57 seconds away from a city and family first.
Makes the family proud, and certainly the city of Killeen. That was the final timeout for the Vikings, so that's basically it. It's only second down coming up. They can't stop the clock after the clock starts with 57 to go.
This is the Astrodome, not Atlanta Stadium.
Well, they've got the colors of the Redskins down there. The burgundy, maroon.
Second and 11. Spiller will take a knee. And watch the clock roll. Vikings out of timeouts and out of hope. Their unbeaten march about to end.
And watch the buckets of Gatorade about to come up behind head coach Bobby Etheridge.
Here they come. Fans are being entertained by their chopping. They don't see the real drama. Etheridge about to get drenched. 23 seconds. One more snap. That will do it.
Here goes the coach.
That feels like champagne right about now. The Killeen Kangaroos are the Division I 5A state champions. Well, if you have to lose, you'd rather lose to a good friend.
And the other fellow that was hugging him after Ronnie Bell was his best friend who coaches as an assistant coach with Sugarland Dulles, and apparently went to TCU with him many, many, many years ago.
It is all over in the Dome. The Kangaroos are the champions, and Dulles one step shy of a perfect season on the short end of a 14-10 score. We will be right back in the Astrodome.
You got the right one, baby. You know, I just love this new Diet Pepsi song, but do you think it's caught on yet? Got the right one, baby.
100% NutraSweet.
The state championship, the ultimate goal for every high school football team, the best in Texas. Now you can catch all the excitement of Texas high school football, every snap, every sack, every score. The 5A championships are now on home video. High school football at its best. Call 1-800-847-6993 to order your tape now. All major credit cards accepted, or send check or money order to the address on the screen. You'll never have to wait till Friday night again for hard-hitting football Texas style. Just call 1-800-847-6993. Don't miss this opportunity. Call now. Post-game prayer for the Dulles Vikings, who finished 14-1. 14-10 our final today. Absolutely nothing for those young men to be ashamed about. Outstanding comeback from 14-0 down. Don't forget, next week, Craig James and I will be at the UIL 5A Division II State Football Championship game on Saturday at 3 p.m. on most of these stations. Check your local listings, and we hope you can join us for that game as well. We hope that game is half as entertaining as this one was. The first state title ever for Killeen High School, second trip to the finals. First was 37 years ago, and they lost to Phillips 21-13. In 1954, they've gone from 2A all the way to the Division I 5A title before 11,104 in the Astrodome this afternoon. And now their post-game thoughts and prayers being shared at midfield. It came down to two plays. Vikings had a chance for the tying touchdown, and a procedure penalty knocked them back from goal to go on the 2 to the 7. They had to settle to 3. The other one, of course, was the sack by Marion on 4th down against Gillespie. And Bobby Etheridge is standing by with Greg Simmons. Thank you very much, Dave Barnett. This is a very happy family affair here because you have Bobby Etheridge, the head coach, and you have his daughter, Kim Etheridge, who happens to be your cheerleader for the Killeen Kangaroos. And, Coach, you got a state championship in the family. Congratulations.
It's unbelievable. I've been waiting 46 years for this one. My family's had a lot of honors, but this is one we've never had before. I can't tell you how much it means to me.
Came down to battle. 4 points separated you and perhaps one of your better friends, Ronnie Bell.
He's a great friend of mine. He's got some people on his staff like Ted Harris that we go back to college days, and he's a wonderful friend of mine. I love him, and it's just a great, great win. And I feel sorry for anybody that had to lose today. There is no losers today.
It's got to also be a great win for the community of Killeen, who has gone through a lot of adversity in 1991.
Unbelievable. If ever there was a community that needed and deserved something like this, it's Killeen, Texas.
Coach, congratulations from all of us.
Thanks a lot.
All right, now it's time to award the Most Valuable Player Award. And join me here is Steve Vittorini, who happens to be the Pepsi-Cola Area Marketing Manager, and also Dave Campbell here, the editor of Texas Football Magazine, a legend in the state of Texas. And they would like to make this presentation to Marion Campbell, of course, of the Killeen Kangaroos, who did just about everything on offense and defense. Marion, if you join us, we'd be so honored.
Okay, well, thank you, Craig. Marion, come on over here. You had an outstanding day today. You've provided us with a lot of moments, great moments, and that's what this MVP trophy is all about, this plaque here in honor for Most Valuable Player for the 5A championship game right here in Texas. So, on behalf of Pepsi-Cola and all our bottlers in the state of Texas, and Dave Campbell with the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame, a legend also, here's a plaque for a memorable game and a memorable moment. Congratulations.
Well, all I have to do is say we came together as a team, came out with another victory. That's all I have to say.
Well, you did a great also. I got to ask you, Dion, because on defense you made one of the key plays of the game, that sack coming in there, and also on the pass almost the near pass interception, a great defensive effort there, and then also touchdowns on offense. You were doing it on both sides of the ball today.
Well, I just had to do what my coaches needed me to do, and I just came out and tried my best and did what I had to do to come out with the state championship and everything.
Dave Campbell, you have written and you've seen a lot of high school football in this state. Your impressions of this young man?
Well, I think that, I represent in some respects the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame, and I have to say that he played today like a Hall of Famer. My goodness, just did everything, as you noted, offense, defense, and he did it at the right time.
Well, congratulations again, Dion Marion, our player of the game here, and our most valuable player here, awarded to by Pepsi-Cola and Steve Vittorini. Now let's go back upstairs to Dave Barnett and Scott Murray. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, Greg, this was everything we hoped it would be, right down to the nub, and 14-10 our final for Killeen. Don't forget, next week, Craig James and I at the UIL 5A Division II State Football Championship game, Saturday, 3 o'clock on most of these stations. Check your local listings, and we hope you can join us for that game as well. The executive producer of today's telecast is Mike Coughlin. Produced by Adrian Godinez and directed by Brian Godinez. Our associate producer, Tom Taylor. Our technical director was David Little. And we want to thank our statisticians today, Kathy Reese and Harry Boudreau, and also Dwayne Green, and our spotters, Mike Miller and Tommy Wilson. Also, we want to thank the University Interscholastic League the University of Texas, the Sugarland Dulles and Killeen High School staff, and all of our television crew family today. This has been a presentation of PBG Sports in association with the University Interscholastic League. On behalf of Scott Murray and Greg Simmons, this is Dave Barnett inviting you to join us next week for the UIL 5A Division II Football Championship telecast. Until then, happy holidays and congratulations to the Killeen Kangaroos.